Okay, so good morning. It's another day. Yesterday, I showed you lifting these walls up and some of the dangers and problems and solutions. So we got the front and back wall up, the long ones. They were had to be first because they run the longest. The plates for them run long. And then we built these two shorter walls, the end walls. And you can see there that the plate for this wall runs short. So it fit right inside here. We could sheet all of this wall except the panels on the ends. We had 4 sheets across there with the ends left off because they have to run past the outside walls. So we raised it, nailed the plates together, the cap plates put in place, tying everything together, and then made sure it's down on the line. This line that I snapped on the deck is where I want the wall to be. So we bring it in until it's on the wall. That's the only way I know where the wall needs to be. Anyway. So our job today, we probably could have finished this yesterday, but it's hot and I'm old, and we had the option, so we come back today when we're fresh. Honestly, keep in mind, if you're only going to work 6 hours a day, chances are those are faster, more industrious hours than it would be if you were working 10 or 12 hours a day. I mean, you pace yourself sometimes to make sure you last all day. We have the option, so we're going to bust these out real quick. This pile here is the pile of interior walls. It's not very many of them, but we'll get them framed and kind of put out of the way, and then I'll turn that back on, and maybe I'll show you how we put them all together. But the trick with all these walls is to not build yourself into a corner, or otherwise, I don't want to say screw yourself, but you don't want to screw yourself by building the big wall where you can't get others behind it and whatnot. Anyway, when I had Tim label all of these walls, and he's gonna get mad at me here, but I had him label the walls. You put an A on the plate with an arrow on the plate, and then the idea was that you put on the deck, the platform, this here right here, I would find an A with an arrow indicating the way it needed to go. I'd be able to know where this wall is needing to go, and he labeled all the plates, but he didn't label the floor. No big deal here. This is not that complicated. I was just talking concepts. It will be easy to figure out, but on a bigger project, that could be a problem. That was my intent, for you to know where the plates go. All the plates are labeled, but with no reference to where. Anywho, Phil helped us again yesterday, big help, and it was kind of fun. These end walls, we were able to lift those up by just the 3 of us. It's about the limit of what 3 people ought to probably be lifting up, and got it done. Anyway, moving along. There is a shear nailing inspection for this building. What that means is the inspector will want to see that the sheeting on the outside is nailed per plan or per code, and it's 6/12, 6 and 12, 6 on the edge, 12 in the field. No big deal. I mean, I did cover it up. We've got the house wrap on outside, and you cannot see it. If they want to see it, we can pull some back and they can take a look. He seems to be a pretty cool guy, and we seem to have thus far fooled him into thinking we know what we're doing. So, and that could be a big deal with an inspector. I'm not want to read anything into it, but if they get the feeling that you know what you're doing, that can really be helpful. You do a couple dumb things, and then their radar goes off, if you will, and then they might start looking for other things that aren't appropriate, right? Okay, we'll get busy here. It won't take too long. We'll get these framed and laying out of the way, and then we'll put them all in position, and it's just magic. So, here we are at probably, 5 or 4 hours or something it took to frame these and put them in position. You can kind of see, you'd want to think out how you did this. I mean, this long wall is the biggest wall. We built it last. built these three. There's three along here, and then there's, well, two, and then one in the middle. We built those, shoved them in the corner. Then we built these guys, the little ones, and shoved them in the corner. And then we built the second longest wall out here and stood it up over there so we wouldn't have to move it very far. And then we built the biggest one, and it's not terribly big, but it's the biggest one. And I built it so that we would only have to lift it right up into position, or pretty much. So this big wall laying on the ground, we put these in position behind it, nailed them on the floor, and then stood the long one up to them, and just lined the plates up and get it all snug and happy, and just making sure it stays on the line. You know, put it on the line, nail the bottoms down, and then we came over here and did sort of the same thing. We put up, I shoved the short little ones in there, then we brought the long wall to them, and I left, this scooted over a little bit so that we could get these couple walls in there. Anyway, get them all kind of in position, and then set the bottoms on the line. And then I came through and nailed all these top corners to get them tight. I mean, the marks I put on there, I can tell where they need to be. Even when I'm on the wrong side, I can tell, that's why I put the marks there. Just put it on the mark. And then I nailed all these corners together, channels together. This is a channel. It's got another board on the other side. I just got to kind of methodically go through, make sure I don't miss anything, and just kind of myself doing all of that. And then it should be ready to go. Next thing we had to do is make sure it's ready for the trusses to get set on the walls. And they'll bring the trusses in with a crane, set them up there and lay them over, and it'll just be a pile of trusses until we come to put them in, to roll the roof. So I want to make sure this is all nice and straight before that happens. And a lot of times you'd use string, plumbing and lining is what we call that. And I just use my ichrometer, I call it. It's pretty accurate. So anyway, I eyeballed down the long walls first. And we put 2 braces in here just to scooch it this way or that. And you can kind of tell. Here's a spot. I've got the plates all tied together. So if I move that, it moves that. I needed to move this part of the wall in a little bit. So there's other ways to do it, but put a brace on here, diagonally, nailed the top, came with a little pry bar at the bottom. I had Tim, I'm over there on the ladder with my ichrometer, and he's over here shoving it just a little bit, and then nail it, into the bottom plate. You can't nail it here or there. The only place you can nail it is at the bottom. Anyway, that combination of events was repeated, 5 or 6 times around here. The short braces work pretty good because they don't get in the way of anything. I could show you how to put a long brace on a wall if you really needed to move something. That's for another day because I didn't need to do it here. And I do keep in mind when I put these braces in here, we're going to be back and forth and walking around and running and doing whatever we do. I mean, I could have put it over here, kind of in the way. I mean, it would be in the doorway, so I might as well put it over here. Same situation in a couple different parts. Like here's another doorway or closet. I might as well scoot it out of the way of the door, just in case. Those little things save a little bit of time. No big deal. Okay, well again, it's warming up and I'm tired. It's not really a full day, but that's fine. I have other things I need to do, and so does Tim. So we are ready for the trusses to be set up on the roof. I will mention, and I never did mention this in any of my other ramblings, when we were when we were done framing these long walls, those are the walls that are going to bear the ends of the trusses. I went ahead and laid them out while the wall was laying on the ground. It's real easy to do. This is a no-brainer. I mean, this is so easy to lay out. I mean, there wasn't any reason not to. So I had Philip, laid out from the same end, both walls. So the walls are already marked where the trusses need to go. And actually, I had him mark both sides of the trusses. So, a line and a line. Put the truss in between the lines. And the one thing that is nice about having 2 lines is that if you're shoving it one way or another, you can see from both directions where it needs to be. If there's just one line and an X, telling you what side of the line it needs to be, sometimes you're sitting on that line and you can't tell one way or the other which way it needs to go. It didn't take very long. It's just something nice. I never know quite what skill level I'm going to have helping me, and that honestly makes it a little bit easier for everybody. Makes it easier to figure out. Didn't take very long to do it, so we did. That's about it. No.
Okay.
Thank you.